Alright, so this is actually a viewer requested story. So, user called Queen Darkness requested I do a story called SpongeBob's Suicide. So, this one's for you. So, if anybody else didn't want to see it, then I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna do this request. So, if anybody else has any requests, then you can just post them on my community tab, my Instagram, my Discord, wherever you want, comments, whatever you want. So, here we go. Does anyone remember this SpongeBob episode, The Sponge Who Could Fly, that aired in March of 2004? It was dubbed the Lost Episode by its commercials based on the episode's storyline, where Patchy the Pirate uses a treasure map to find the SpongeBob episode that he lost. The night before the episode was aired, I was sick with the norovirus. I was vomiting almost every 5 minutes and I was feeling too ill to fall asleep, so I stayed up and watched TV. Around 2:30, my stomach started to settle, so I planned to turn off the TV and try to go to sleep. As I was reaching for my remote control, the opening for the SpongeBob TV show started playing. SpongeBob was my favorite show at the time, so I couldn't miss out on watching it. Although I thought it was kind of strange that they were showing SpongeBob in the middle of the night, but I didn't think much of it. When the opening played, I noticed that the contrast of the animation was slightly darker than usual. The theme song sounded a bit harsh and raspy. This episode made me feel a little uncomfortable, but I was also tired and brushed it off. The title card read Lost Episode, so I figured that there was a mishap and Nickelodeon was accidentally airing The Sponge Who Could Fly. When the episode started playing, it immediately looked out of the ordinary. It started off with SpongeBob sitting on his bed, slouched and looking downward with a somber look on his face. This was definitely not like himself. SpongeBob was so optimistic all the time. Why would he be acting like this? After about 10 seconds of seeing SpongeBob like this, he let out a big sigh, then looked over to his bedside barrel, and the screen zoomed in on one pill bottle that was sitting behind his clock. Once the screen zoomed in close enough to read the text on the bottle, it showed that it was a Prozac bottle. The show then planned was seen with a much brighter contrast, showing SpongeBob taking one of the pills, then running off smiling and laughing. The fact that SpongeBob had to take pills to be, well, himself made me feel uneasy, especially because mental disorders and antidepressants are more mature themes that obviously shouldn't find a place in any kid's cartoon. It should be noted that this was seen on a show intended for kids. The screen then flipped back to the original scene of SpongeBob looking distressed, at the same time changing the contrast back to the darker one. The screen froze on SpongeBob for a few seconds, then flickered to a new scene. The scene showed SpongeBob at the desk, the same one that was in the episode Procrastination, with his Prozac bottle, a piece of paper, and a pencil. In this scene, instead of staying at one contrast, the colors kept on flickering from light to dark. SpongeBob gripped the pencil in his hand, and a tear rolled down his face. The part that bothered me the most was that the tear didn't look like the usual blue cartoon-style tears the characters in SpongeBob usually cry out. The tear looked completely realistic, as if there had been a drop of water rolling down my TV from his eye. SpongeBob wiped the tear from his face with his sleeve, began to write on the paper, reading out loud what he was writing. "I can't take it anymore," he said as soon as he got that sentence out. Faint noise started playing in the background. It sounded like a child crying. Noise continued playing as SpongeBob continued writing. "My life has been horrible, hasn't gotten better. My best friend Patrick is my only best friend because he doesn't know any better. My neighbor Squidward hates my guts. He'd probably be happy if I wasn't around anymore." SpongeBob stopped writing and talking and started weeping loudly. The color flicking started getting faster, and the cries in the background started getting louder. It sounded like more children were beginning to cry. It had just been my imagination. I remember hearing one of the children very faintly yell, "He's going to do it." The children's cries got louder, and the colors kept flickering faster as SpongeBob keeps writing. "The only job I can get is being the fry cook of the Krusty Krab. My boss, Mr. Krabs, refuses to give me an actual paycheck, and he uses me to get more customers. I'm in my 20s, and I still don't have any driver's license. Sandy is the only girl I've ever had in my life, and she's just a friend. She's never had any interest in me. Pretty sure she's only my friend because she feels sorry for me. Sorry if I'm hurting anyone at all for doing this, but I just can't live like this anymore." The screen froze for a few seconds, then the show continued with SpongeBob writing his final sentence. Contrast stayed dark, Instead of flickering from light to dark, the children stopped crying. It was absolute silence except for SpongeBob saying goodbye. Cries came back. SpongeBob quickly stood up, dusted off the lid of the Prozac bottle, dipped his head back, let all the pills in the bottle fill into his mouth and swallowed them all whole. The screen twitched, and the animation was darker, but still visible. SpongeBob clutched his stomach and vomited realistic pale greenish-orange stomach bile. It was clear that his body was trying to cleanse itself from the overdose, but it was no use. SpongeBob collapsed out of the floor and lied there motionless until the screen turned to static. Needless to say, I was scared out of my mind and sleep was out of the question. Recently I've been looking through this episode all over the internet, and not even the website seems to have it. If you recognize this episode, please let me know. Alright, so that was that story. So, I thought it was pretty interesting actually. I thought it was pretty good, I liked it. And I would probably say it was a bit better than the Squidward suicide. Just because that one seemed kind of cliche and goofy and stupid. This was actually a pretty decent story. And hope you guys enjoyed this one, and have a very good day.